we'll kick off.
Getting members of the public to on time.
That always sign in dead on and miss afternoon.
What happened to the member of the public that used to turn up to half a dozen meetings? Lady.
You're there last week.
Oh, she asked. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, she's still coming. That's good.
Swipe you up.
Made up for lost time, let's say the least.
Okay.
That's good.
It's not it. Right. I can start off with the apologies for absence. So we've got Kenton Journey,
He is really
Sally Camindo, Sean Molster.
That was second. You
Any other apologies?
Oh, well,
And Ken Skirney.
Yeah, I'll do Kenton, yeah. That's just 3. Okay. Any declarations of interest? Otherwise, let me know any point during the meeting. And no public questions. I think you've not received any directly. Okay. Next is to approve an accurate record and minutes of the meeting of Finance and General Purposes Committee held on the 26th of January. Are you all okay for me to sign those minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, thank you very much. Next up is our action tracker. It's 2 new things, isn't it?
It's 2 ongoing things.
2 ongoing things, yeah. So reports from outside organisations, which I think I put down was the Town 20, sorry.
Yeah.
Town clerk to meet with Councillor Peter Hollick. I take it it's still in progress.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is on the agenda.
Good. And then we've got a note that obviously with the scouts trying to get them in some sort of order so everyone can see the order of the actual the Remembrance Day parade so they can all see what's going on.
So that has now been included in the notes
Okay.
for preparing the Remembrance Parade, so we can take it off there because we know it's in.
Okay, so it's all been documented as such.
Yeah.
Super. So that brings us to the finance report. I'm going to take us through that one.
Yeah, so members, apologies tonight from Lisa Shader, who's not with us for personal reasons. So you'll start with me for most of these items. So the finance report, in some aspects, it's your standard financial report, so it gives us a budgetary update for the year. Obviously, at this point in the financial year, we're getting 2 weeks away, aren't we, from the end of the financial year? Obviously, this report was done a few weeks ago. Currently, we're reporting a likely underspend for the year of 80,000. When we set the precept, we thought it was going to be 89,000, but you did set a significant budget for any additional balance to go to known professional fees. So the amount we've already agreed to set aside for detached youth activities, the Ranger Store roof and the performance area door, that's all safe and in the bank, so to speak. Obviously, anything could happen in the next 2 weeks, but all being well, that's where we'll end up. In terms of investments, gives you the figures there for the current account, CCLA and the business reserve account. As you know, we try and keep as much as possible in the CCLA deposit account. And every month or so at this time of year, Lisa makes me sign something to transfer more over to spend it. The play areas. So Grounds discussed play areas and noted that we require some repair works on various play areas. We're forecasting that the revenue budget for play areas will be fully spent this year. However, it's important to highlight that at the moment we do not have a reserve for play area replacement, and given the age of our play areas, I'd suggest we need some kind of plan and we need to start to budget to replace them. So I'm not suggesting that we immediately put all the money in that would cover the cost of replacements. I don't know exactly how much that is, but I do know we haven't got that money right now. But the recommendation is that we create an earmark reserve for play area replacement. If there is any underspend, that's transferred into that budget at the year end. And in the during this financial year, so in time for the budget setting for 27-28, officers will carry out a review of the likely timescale and cost of replacing our current play equipment for you to consider. Shall I keep going through the report then?
Yeah, take questions at the end, I think.
The internal audit process is ongoing. Councillor Katarski, you picked up a couple of things. Thank you very much. The council's having their quarterly check through is ongoing. We've received our second interim internal audit. The final internal audit will take place after the end of the financial year and close down to finally sign everything off. But you'll be pleased to note that the internal audit reports that the council continues to maintain an adequate and effective system of internal control. And just a reminder that internal audit isn't there to check the numbers, it's there to check that our processes and controls function. So it checks the controls, it doesn't check the actual numbers. But obviously if the controls work, then hopefully that means numbers are correct. We have been seeking quotes for a new internal auditor. We've been with the same company, Auditing Solutions, for many years. We have had several different auditors from them over that time. We now need to go to, it's a healthy thing to go out for a quote anyway, but also that company is not going to carry on in their current form, and our current auditor is going to retire. To be fair, he's been saying he's going to retire. He's applied several times the last 10 years, but I think he really means it. But also it would be really healthy for us to have a change and open ourselves up to new fresh scrutiny. So we've sought quotes. There is an internal auditors forum who we've taken advice from in terms of who's available to quote. And we also approached another auditor we discovered who do provide a service to a neighbouring council of similar size. In the event, we've had two viable quotes from supplier A and B. Supplier A would charge us £85 an hour, which is around 3,400 a year. Supplier B would be 350 a day. They think for 5 visits, which would be about 1,700. We currently spend 2,600. Our current internal auditor is unable to quote. We're recommending to go with supplier A. They are the more expensive of the two quotes, but they're the only one of the two who have significant experience of carrying out audits for councils our size. And that is quite a different thing to audit a council with lots of different services and functions compared to a smaller council with a few staff that do generic council services. So we're still fairly unusual in the sector. So finding an internal auditor who's really got the skill and experience to carry out an effective audit on us. We've got quite a limited market. Councillor A has got more experience, but also they're a bigger team. So Councillor B is pretty much a one-person band. So it's obviously risk attached to that. Whereas then the larger organisation, they've got more flexibility to support us over time and also challenge themselves as an organisation. So we're recommending that we go with organisation A. Just in terms of external audit, you may have heard discussions about Assertion 10. This may be a world that I live in more than you. I've heard a lot of discussions about Assertion 10. So it's an additional aspect of the external audit. So this year, the external audit is asking questions around, have we got generic emails for councillors? Have we got a website? And have we got an IT policy? Are we complying with our GDPR and data protection obligations? Does the council understand its role as a data controller and data processor? Does our website meet WCAG 2.2 AA standards? Does the council website comply with the public sector bodies 28 accessibility regulations? And do we have all the right information on there? Now, the answer to all those questions is yes, because we were doing it before the assertions were introduced. So that is really good news, especially with the new website we had designed, where we very specifically said we wanted those accessibility statements in it. And we have got the additional accessibility tool on top of it as well. So that's for your information. We're being asked to answer new questions, but we're confident that the answer to all those questions is yes, and we're ahead of the game. We're also asking you to approve an updated version of the financial regulations. So our financial regulations, which we did not a year or two ago, are based on NAUC's good practice template. The recommendations that things we recommend to change are to slightly amend the wording about procurement, just to add some paragraphs to align with NAUC's model, just for safety. to increase the transaction value that we allow on payment cards from £500 to £750, and to increase the amount that members of staff can pay on a personal credit or debit card and then be repaid by the council's expenses from £250 to £500. That's just because our experience in the last couple of years has been sometimes we need £600, £650 on the credit cards, or over 200. Things are getting more expensive, so that makes sense. And with asset disposal, to remove purchased or otherwise acquired as not required, but also to allow disposal of any one item not over 10,000 to be carried out subject to my approval. We have introduced an internal system whereby you have to fill in a form if you want to dispose of anything. Make sure you're keeping a record of what it was and why you're disposing of it. But it doesn't seem to make sense that if we want to scrap a vehicle, we have to come to members to approve to scrap that vehicle, as long as we've got evidence that we've done the best we can to get the best value for scrapping that vehicle. They are the recommendations before you, members. There's quite a lot in there, but happy to take any general questions on finance as well.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. I think I know what the answer to is, but I'm going to just ask it. So on the use of the payment cards, so the personal credit cards of members of staff,
Yeah.
presumably that's for all authorised expenditure. So in other words, staff won't be in the position of using their own personal credit cards and making a claim for that claim to be turned down. So if they're going to be using them, it's for pre-agreed expenditure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just because we've got the only people credit cards with council credit cards are myself and SM to the three heads of service, and then other members. So for example, we've got a member of staff who, if they go to a conference, will pay for the conference and then submit a claim, and we'll pay them, and they'll be paid on their credit card. So it's those things. Yeah, we've never had a situation where a member of staff would come to us assuming we'll pay for a thing we haven't agreed to beforehand, and we'd have quite a clear reaction if they did.
Thank you.
Rich.
Thank you, Chair. So I've got two sort of questions. One on the play area budget renewal sort of thoughts. What's the sort of lifespan of a play area, and how long have we had our play area? And there's actually another question in that, which is how long will it sort of how much might it cost to replace our play areas?
Well, I've tried to say that I don't know the answer to the question, and I'll give you the answer at some point in the next 12 months. The lifespan of a play area depends on the play area, so somewhere between 10 and 25 years, roughly speaking. Wooden doesn't last as long as other materials, and for example, the older play equipment in Bennett's, which is made of wood, we're currently having testing done on that because the wood goes straight in the ground, so we're finding out if that's rotten or not. If that does need work on it, that's quite early in its life. But some of our other play areas may go beyond its life. One of the main manufacturers of our play equipment is out of business, so we will reach a point whereby replacing and repairing won't be possible in the long term. And then it's not just the equipment, it's also the surface around it. So we've got some issues, which is what we're having to spend money on at the moment, around the poor areas around where it's all cracked and needs replacing. So that can be quite expensive as well, and that needs doing more often than some of the play equipment. So it depends a lot, but a lot of our play areas were installed in around a similar time. So we could face an issue in 5 years, 10 years, where things get gradually worse and all of a sudden we're hit with a really big bill. And that's what we want to avoid doing. We should want to start being a bit more piecemeal earlier on. Obviously, we've got aspirations to increase our play areas and add accessible equipment to them, but we may at some point have to balance maintaining what we have with adding value to it.
Presumably,
Also,
I
I've
don't-
got
right.
it first. So
Oh,
Yeah.
that was your question, Dan. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought it was the second one. Yes, this goes on the play area as well. So we had an underspend of was 80 something grand. Can that be ring fenced towards this pot, or does that just go back into some other place?
Well, we've already ring fenced some of it towards other purposes.
Mhm.
So the detached youth work, the Rangers roof, the door, and also we're going to put the rest of it into corporate kind of legal type expenses, because we talked about those all going up as well. What I would say is at the moment we're saying, can we put a set of code aside and agree we need to put something in it? And then at this meeting in June, we'll bring a report which will tell you what the underspend actually was, because at the moment we're just guessing.
yeah,
So when we know what it actually was, then we'll bring you a bit of a firmer, this is what we know. And if anything else has changed in terms of the budget at that point, we might be able to clarify some other points as well. So the June meeting, I think, will be a better one to make some really proper decisions.
Okay, cheers.
Yeah, Peter.
I was just going to say, we are looking at each of the play areas, aren't we? The management
Yeah.
plan and so on. So a lot of information that we're seeking here will be contained presumably within that management plan. And I assume that will say how long existing play area as opposed to the play, well, it'll be both the play area and the play equipment. But just to make it clear, it's the play areas where we haven't got a budget for at the moment. Play equipment we have. Okay. But hopefully, as I say, that will all come out in the management plan.
And in June, is that when it's coming out in June?
So what's coming out in June is the overall budget outturn. So we'll know what the underspend was for the year in June. So we'll know how much immediate money we have to talk about. But at some point in the next 12 months, we'll bring you a report that says this is the equipment and these are play areas we've got, and this is what their lifespan and replacement costs would be. And then you'll be able to have that conversation around. We can do it like that.
Okay. They go to the main podcast. So Matt go first because you've had a chance to already.
Thank you, Chair. I want to ask about the internal audit, the costs for supplier A. I'm assuming we have to choose between supplier A and supplier B as part of this report.
Yeah.
So with supplier A at £85 per hour, and then you're assuming you're suggesting that would equate to 3,400. Is there anything that can be done within that? I'd like to know where you've extrapolated to £3,400 and what you've based that on, and whether that can be reduced at all to sort of even the playing field between the two bidders. Just because it would, from a financial standpoint, I really want to choose bidder B because they're a lot cheaper.
Yeah, so those figures are what they gave us. So supplier A said for council your size, we think we would need to give you this many hours to deliver this kind of service, whereas supplier B said for council your size, we think you should have this. And if you compare the £350 a day to the £85 an hour, £85 an hour, whichever way you divide it up, is more expensive than £350 a day. So one is more per unit. Now, any auditor will absolutely negotiate with us. If we say we only want you for 1 day a week, they'll come and do us for 1 day a week. Actually, they might say no to that if they're properly professional. But there's some level of negotiation in terms of how often they come in and how much they look at and how detailed they do it every time. Generally, they'll do a 2 or 3 year program. So they'll do a certain amount of things every year. They'll do certain amounts of things every time they come in, but actually over 2 or 3 years, they do a really deep dive into everything. So after 2 or 3 years, you know they've been through everything in proper detail. So we can influence that to some extent. But fundamentally, you're choosing between organisations who have different unit values, and there's nothing we could do about that. So we could go with we could go with B, but our recommendation is to go with A because they're a bigger company and they've got a lot more experience auditing councils this size.
Sean, also,
Over the experience.
if I may, ask another question. So when it comes down to internal audit with regards to the town council, is it always a set, like a prescribed format where they go through specific areas within the council? And I mean, I read these reports every year and they always seem relatively the same. So in a way, I'm happy that we're changing to a new supplier for our internal audit. I just wondered if there's any way that we can choose what they look at, or can we specify anything, or is it, because the way I'm assuming it works is there is a legislative framework that says what has to be checked as part of internal audit for the town council. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so for council our size, there are some things they always have to do for everyone. So when you do the AGAR, the internal auditor has to sign to say, I've checked your financial control. So they have to look at our financial controls. They have to look at our risk assessment. So you've got a corporate risk register and the risk policy later on this agenda. because they will tick to say, the council has considered its corporate risk assessment in the last 12 months, and I've looked at it and I think it's correct or reasonable. They will look at our website and what's published on there, so they will check that there are minutes of the precept being set, for example. They will check that we've consulted on the precept properly. They will check that we have policies in place regarding data protection, and we've got appropriate financial regulations and that we're following them, that we have standing orders. So there are a set of things which you would expect them to check. For an organisation our size, then there are other things where the generic internal audit guidance might not cover, but you would still expect them to go to Bennett sometimes and check everything that's being done there correctly. They will look at the cemetery. So the last internal audit visit looked at the cemetery in detail and checked burial records as well as the financial aspect of it. So with somebody putting in a bid for us, we'd expect them to understand what it means to audit a cemetery and to audit a retail unit, and to audit a youth provision as well. So, and that's why we're recommending a bigger auditor with wider experience, that they can't just audit, any auditor will be able to audit the basic financial reporting that you get, but it's being able to audit the other services we do and make sense of that in a way that would challenge us appropriately. So with either auditor, you will get a different format of report, and different auditors just can sound a bit different and feel different. So that would be a really healthy thing. And just the first 2 or 3 sessions will be really healthy because they will ask questions which our current auditor might not, because they've got too comfortable. So whichever of them it is, you will get that initial freshness. Rick?
Thank you, Chair. So I have questions about audit as well. So in terms of the difference between supplier A and supplier B, and the argument that supplier A may be a stronger choice because it's a larger organisation and therefore there's more continuity or what have you. I mean, our current outgoing auditor is a single individual, is it not?
No, so at the moment we employ Audit Solutions, and they employ a whole set of different auditors. So over the years, they've sent us a different auditor every 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. So the current guy's been with us for a few years, but before him there was someone different, and before him there was someone different as well. So that also means that as a company, their internal audits aren't just signed off by the person who comes to us, they're signed off by their manager. So everything's kind of double checked before we get it, and the format they use and the process they go through is quality assured by the wider organisation. And if our internal auditor was ill or for whatever reason unavailable, they would then send someone else who would work within the same system and they would know them.
Peter first.
Thank you. I'm just looking at 323 election reserve. The balance was 20,000 both at the April 25 and January 26. We've had the one election since then. Presumably, yes, we put aside another 20 for 27, 26, 27.
Yes.
But that's only enough for one by-election, what I'm saying. Not that I'm anticipating anything else, but we're reassured that we can have one, the one that's coming in about May time, that's all. And then we're stumped.
So 2 things, members. The first thing is what we briefed you on previously was that we had enough money in the budget for a by-election, but not for 2. So the fact that we're going to be paying for 2 by-elections means that when we set the precept for 27-28, we're going to be asking you to add in another 10,000 each year for the next 2 years. So the precept will go up by £10,000 to accommodate what is now the cost of meeting those by-elections, always retrospectively. Of course, if there are any other by-elections, they will be paid for out of the general reserve. Mm-hmm. So we can technically afford it, and obviously we all really value democracy. So we would be able to pay, and then we would have to work out the consequences of that as we budget into next year.
Thank you. Back to Matt.
So back to the internal audit. So much fun.
Excuse me.
Am I right in thinking that both these bidders, these auditors, are going to have formal qualifications?
Yes.
And so like CIPFA qualifications, or
I honestly can't remember exactly what they gave us, but
they
been assessed as being suitably qualified. Yes.
So theoretically, they're like, as they're both qualified, I assume it's one more highly qualified than the other.
Yeah, we're saying that one has a lot wider experience than the other. So it's not necessarily about the academic qualification, it's about the subsequent experience.
Okay. I see the point. I do think that given that there is a prescribed format and like the audit is based on the legislation, like legislative requirements, I kind of want supplier B because they're cheaper.
Isn't it also the very nature of our council has something to do with it as well, that we are rather, well, we're second or third largest in the country, depending on how you judge it, and therefore perhaps one needs the more experienced people to actually do the job for us.
It'd be like a builder. You get builders who build your brick walls and make an extension, but then you've got something a bit bigger. They're all qualified as builders, but you need the security behind you of someone taking on more of a challenge, shall we say. And obviously we want the security of that, you know, if that person goes off sick, that then, you know, our service doesn't just stop, which is quite crucial because we're obviously under a time limit to get things done usually. Yeah.
I excuse me. I do obviously understand what Councillor Brennan is saying, but I think considering the way the council function, just having one individual might be slightly on the wrong side of how this council function, because you're not just, you know, auditing financial issues, you're looking at a different service as well and how the council function overall. And I think we as a council need to make sure we cover our back by having that larger organization. Just in case something happens, you can have somebody else to cover and make sure the work is still done. If, you know, an auditor go, you know, travel abroad or when sick or something happened, you have a larger organization rather than that one-man band, which seems cheaper, but in terms of productivity, you have limitation. So I reckon that in a difference in the price, it's possibly rather the right thing to do to go with the bigger organization.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I don't disagree with what you said. I think this is the second procurement process that I've reviewed in the last week or two. The first one was at the Grounds and Environment Committee last week about something else, and I think we were making similar observations about experience. So this leads me to say that I think that the procurement process should probably address this head on next time, so that otherwise we're not really comparing like with like, because if we're not actually asking for somebody to say what are your risk mitigations if you're a single sole trader or whatever, when it comes to actually looking and comparing them, we're not really doing that, because one of them is kind of cancelling themselves out, which it may be the case, because I think there were 4 people, or sort of 4 organisations potentially who were going to bid, but 2 of them, I think from your note, say that they withdrew or they didn't have the capacity to do the bid. But I think we probably need to review the procurement process so we can put some of this in there, I think.
So a couple of comments on that. One is that the other item we're talking about is actually on the confidential session tonight, because that was a reference up. So we're going to come back to that discussion later on this evening. The bigger one, which we're going to talk about later, is done under the full procurement regulations. That's a different kettle of fish to this one. We are doing a review of our procurement process at the moment, so it's something later this year will come out in its fullness. So Emma and Lisa have been working through that for some time, trying to get some advice on exactly how it works. And it's always tricky for us. How much do you design a really clear procurement process? When we do a fair bit of procurement, but every time we do it, you have to redesign the process to fit what you're procuring. So it's always a bit of an art as well as a science. On this one, because it's a lower figure, really, this was about 3 quotes and our comments on them. So this is a different, slightly different issue. But with the bigger ones, then we score it. And then I think at least with the bigger one, the scoring process meant you could have a conversation about what we thought the key bits for you to discuss. So actually a decision you're making, I think you were discussing the really pertinent points, and it's quite a tricky one to discuss. But we are working on a fresh approach to procurement.
Yeah, just on that point, it's interesting to kind of understand from a council of this size whether we should even be looking at one-man bands, considering, you know, what is our legal position on this? Because obviously when we come round to actually doing the audit, we've got to get this back within a certain amount of time. Now, given a one-man band could easily be ill or, God forbid, have long-term sickness or whatever, what would that leave us? Would we have to renegotiate quickly with another auditor, or what would happen? Because a contract's a contract, but at the end of the day, if you can't oblige that contract, then it doesn't leave us in a great position at all.
And as you agree with your point, and it's interesting to know that these are the only 2 quotes we've been able to get.
Yeah.
So actually, that's what the market is right now. That, you know, we haven't got any other choices to consider.
What I'm saying is, should we really be even considering a one-man band, or are we in a legal position to even, you know, look at that type of procurement?
Question to me. Did we put these out on in the market as jobs coming up, or did we approach people directly and say it's so interesting quoting?
We approached people directly. We didn't put them on the portal because they don't reach the threshold for the public procurement portal. But we did. We went to the internal audit forum, who you would expect anybody who you're going to get an internal audit from council to be part of that, and we asked them who would be appropriate to us to do audits for council our size. So they gave us the 3 recommendations. So we invited everybody they suggested. We invited.
Process. Okay, are we okay with finished with questions? I'll go through the recommendations in turn so we can make sure we covered all the points. So we're to note the revenue budget position and year-end forecast for the current financial year to 31st of January 2026, item 3, which we've done. We've noted the council's earmarked reserves as at the 31st of January 2026. We've noted the current investments, item 5. For members to approve ring fencing any underspend on the play equipment revenue budget as at 31st of March 2026 at item 6. Are we all in favour of ring fencing that underspend? Yeah. Okay, that's carried. For members to receive and note the outcome of the second interim internal audit for the current financial year, which I'm pleased with, nice and clean again. For members to recommend to full council the
1.5.
That was 1.5, yeah, to receive and note the outcome of second interim internal audit.
That's just, sorry, no, yeah, I'm reading back to front.
Yes. For members to recommend to full council the appointment of the internal auditor for 3 years, beginning with financial year 2026-2027. Those all in favour of supporting supplier A? Those against? That's carried. Against. For members to recommend to full council the amended financial regulations at item 9. Or are we all okay recommending that? It's nodding hands. Yeah, thank you. So that's the finance report done. Let's get back. And next we have compliance and facilities report. So she's Corinne. Oh, she's Corinne. Yes, thank you, Corinne.
Members, short information compliance facility report for you this evening. Please ask any questions. So to begin with, a Grove House, as per the report, drawings for the remedial works are due to be submitted. Members will be updated via this report. progress continues. The priority is given to the steel beams from the high street and from the entrance from the high street. Drawings haven't been submitted yet, but they are due to be submitted. So carrying on with Grove House, the wedding fair on the 14th of February received a positive response. As of today's date, there are 8 confirmed weddings so far for 2026. And we're working closely with Rachel on ensuring continued visibility via social media and the council's website. At 1.3, the licence to occupy lease has been agreed until April 2027 at Downside Community Centre. And moving on at 2.1, works for the new video intercom, time of writing were underway. They're now completed, which ensures better security up at the chapel at West Street for the staff there. Continuing on health and safety, several officers have now been issued with lone working devices. 34 devices in total, and 6 of these are pooled devices. They're being rolled out to all service areas with an anticipated completion date of the end of March. And at 3.2, HASAG has been introduced, which is the Health and Safety Advisory Group. This is a group of managers of health and safety responsibility. It's a structured, minuted meeting. We meet monthly to review any incidents and to ensure that procedures and policies are appropriate and being followed. Any questions?
I'd like to know about lone working devices,
Okay.
which I think, I believe I know that they are. I'd like to know how they can also be pooled devices,
Okay.
what that means.
Okay, so what that would mean as an example is there's going to be a shared device within one of the offices in Grove House. And it would mean that it would be all the same escalation contacts, and it would be passed from each member of staff if whoever was going to be the last person here.
Okay,
Because we wouldn't all need one. When that was risk assessed, we wouldn't all need an individual one, but it would mean that whoever was last here could pass it. So there'd be one between several members of staff in that situation.
okay,
Okay,
that's cool.
Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to ask, can you clarify for me? You said the list has been signed for Downside Community Centre.
License.
The license till 27. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Well, why is it so short after we spent so much time?
Well, so there are 2 things in train. One is the license to occupy, which is a renewal of the current arrangement. So they haven't yet signed the long-term lease, but they've signed the license to occupy, which means
Right.
that will start to cause them some issues because it was taking longer to get the lease done. So we haven't yet signed the lease off, but we have signed the license to occupy.
Okay, I understand. So why is the lease taking so long? It's been, what is the problem?
It's getting stuff done legally is taking longer for reasons I'll discuss after this, if you like.
Okay,
Okay.
it's slightly troubling to have a potential occupant that just wants some sort of peace of mind, if you will, and we've discussed it several times, and to still have that pending. Well, same with Sana license to occupy, sort of give them a breathing space, I suppose. But does that guarantee that this list will be signed, or this is still working out whether or not they're going to have a list or not? Okay. Thank you, Chair.
From myself, a question. The devices we've got, do they communicate to a central place then, or?
Yes, they do.
Okay, is that operated 24 hours or?
It is.
It is, okay, so it's a third party system.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. I noticed the community centre was started on the roof repairs as well, but yeah. And I was going to mention it earlier, playground, they fixed the gate today as well. So it's two points for me that I'm chuffed with. Any other questions? No. We've got a recommended here. No, going this information. Right. That will then go on to marketing and communications. Rachel?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. I'll start with point 1, social media. We continue to use social media posts and stories to engage our audience, updating them on our events, markets, news and new initiatives. As of today, we are 346 followers away from 16,000 followers on the Town Council Facebook. Other social media channels have seen steady growth in followers. As you can see from the report, the top performing social media content has been the Grove House Wedding Open Day, Bites on the Square, and promoting the Mother's Day market in the run up to that. If we just go on to the website is running smoothly. There's no reported issues, and we continue to update the website with any new content or changes as necessary. 3.3, as you can see, the recycling tool continues to be used, and we are making sure people are aware of using the tool via communications on social media. We are currently exploring how recycling tool can be used to translate posters with like scanning the QR code and lead them to a poster with the recycling tool, so they can use that to transcribe it into different settings. If we just go to point 5, Talk of the Town. Talk of the Town is currently in the design process as we speak, and will be delivered to households from the 4th of April. Advertising in the April and July edition is Hospital at Home, and we do have people just inquiring at the moment if they want paid advertising as well. Point 6, we continue to post about the community lottery on social media, and the lottery will mark its first birthday at the end of May, and we will run a promotional material on social media for announcing our first birthday and different campaigns around that. And we also are announcing the first birthday in Talk of the Town to encourage community groups to attend our first birthday celebrations and to sign up and to get new players. Are there any questions?
I mentioned this potentially last year. There's a couple of websites that I go on, and I know that some other residents in the area go on. There's whatsupbeds.com and experiencebedfordshire.co.uk. And when you go on there to find out what's going on, coming up this weekend, what's coming up this month, none of the events for Dunstable, as far as I've seen, ever come up. But there's ones for Flitwick Town and no, they're not, and Whipsnade and Willow Leisure Centres and all sorts of places. The Hat Factory in Luton. I wondered if you can kind of have a look at expanding where some of our events and things turn up on, and if that's, you know, see what the cost is to get them publicised, I guess.
Sorry, what was the other one that you mentioned?
Whatsupbeds.com and experiencebedfordshire.co.uk.
I'm not sure if experience, but is it still a thing? Because I'm sure I tried to reach out to them before to advertise our events and they weren't coming back to me on this.
It was still showing events coming up, so
this is going to be a really unhelpful comment I'm going to make, but I recall you saying it last time, and I recall us having a conversation in the office about it afterwards. I can't remember what the conversation in the office was afterwards, but Becky had a really informed answer, so we'll send you a written response after this meeting to update.
Lovely, thanks.
Thank you for your report. Moving on, community lottery. Lottery page down with my names is.
This is a decision report for the Dunstable Community Lottery. to spend £450 from the Community Lottery Centre Fund as an initiative for good causes to sign up and to drive ticket sales. The Dunstable Community Lottery has raised a total of £1,123. Members are yet to make a decision of how to spend this money, and we're proposing this being reinvested to help give back to good causes, as well as drive people to play the lottery as well. We've been working well with Gatherwell as developing these ideas and concepts, which have been tried and tested with positive results from other community lotteries. Our suggestions are that new good causes that register by the 1st of June and sell 40 tickets within the first month will be eligible to win £200 for their cause. Existing good causes that sell at least 125 tickets during our birthday month of May by the 1st of June will be also eligible to win £200 for their cause. And there will be a free spin, I guess, where people can claim lottery tickets. So that will come from the funding of the central fund. And there is a typo there. It's meant to say 40p, not 60p. So every claim code that someone will put in, it's 40p for every ticket that's claimed.
Any questions? I did send a very late piece from myself. Maybe a different way of doing it. So I'll wait to hear what people have got to say.
Well,
Peter and then Michelle.
thank you. I was just looking at 3.2 and 3.3. Eligible win £200 in each case, and we got 450. Am I using that 450 correctly? Or would it be eligible to win up to £200 for their cause? I'm just sort of thinking of if there's considerable success, we're going to have to contribute a number of £200.
No, it would just be two 200s. I presume it's been done that way. Ideally, you'd give one £200 to each of those categories. But if nobody met one of the categories, then you could give both the £200.
What's the other £50 then?
The £50 for the free tickets, I believe.
That's for that, yeah. Okay.
So that £50 would basically go to the Gatherwell.
And I assume it's sort of first come, first served. If there are two successes within one of those 3.2 or 3.3.
How will all the prizes be awarded? I think that's the question.
So we're going to do like a golden ticket, kind of like find the ticket to claim your kind of lottery ticket, if that makes sense.
Oh, is that for the individual ticket?
Yeah, that's for the individual ticket claim codes. So when they pick up the claim codes, they have to go to the Dunstable Community Lottery website, they enter the code, and then it gives them a free spin on the next lottery draw on a Saturday.
Whereas for 3.2 and 3.3, if there's more than one in each of those categories, then we'd just draw it out of a hat as to who won. So it says they're eligible to win £200.
Okay.
Yeah. We would have
$200.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they don't reach the qualifying amount, so what we do with the money if no one.
We'll liaise with the chair. I mean, if we've got somebody who's close, then we might.
Mhm.
That's a problem, but we'll face that if we when we come to it.
The idea is there.
Yeah. Michelle.
Yeah, so so the amount that we've had donated, it's the 1,123. Is that right?
So that's the amount that's come
Over the last year.
into the pot.
It's the general.
There's other larger amounts altogether that have gone to individual organisations.
Okay. Okay, so we've still got to decide what to do with that.
Yeah.
But for the next bit then, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I understand what the proposals are. So it's basically any additional new organisations outside the general pot then. So this is nothing to do with the general pot anymore. It's to do with how to incentivise additional organisations to sign up. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how much does each ticket cost then?
£1.
This is the bit that, so my maths is very bad tonight then. So if you sell 40 tickets,
to the to the charity, I believe, isn't it? 10p.
if you sell 40 tickets at £1, that's £40. Am I going?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. But that gives you an eligibility to win £200 from
Yeah, so
Evo.
so there's that 1,123 is the amount that is now in the town council's
Oh,
pot.
so that's the bit that's up for grabs.
Yeah, so
Okay,
that's
I'm
that,
getting you.
there's 1,123. It's entirely in your
In our hands.
hands to do it.
If we propose to do section 3, because then it will be in these people, well,
Yeah.
it will be in the new organisation's hands.
So the proposal is to basically give £400 of that to 2 successful organisations to further encourage and
Yeah.
promote the project.
The general idea of this is to try and promote people to take part in the lottery.
Yeah.
And hence the free tickets as well, that they can, if people will be encouraged to buy more lottery tickets and then win the chance of possibly having the free spin.
No, that's really helpful.
Set numbers, but
Yeah.
it is trying to drive sales. But
Yeah. So I suppose you could argue that any new causes are all good causes. I suppose I suppose the question I have is we haven't actually decided what we might do with the 1,123.
correct.
So I guess I'm not against the promotion. I'm just wondering whether we should decide on how we haven't actually decided how to use the 1,100. We're going to leave it to the 2 new causes that come in to determine the allocation. So if we had a priority, if we thought we had a priority, or we thought we had a commitment to particular organisations that are so far signed up for the last year, effectively only the newcomers are going to get a share of what's been earned over the last year.
Well, 3.2 is newcomers, but 3.3 is if you've already signed up,
Yeah.
but you get send another 125 tickets.
Okay.
So it's partly about newcomers and partly incentivising current people to keep selling more.
But these are just one-off prizes which are going to be allocated from the money we hold. So it's one way of allocating it back to charities within the town or good causes within the town.
If I can just remind members that what we said about the generic 1123 amount at the outset was we don't know how much there will be.
No.
So let's leave it there to build for a while, and then
That's
once it's
right.
significant,
Yeah.
then we'll work it out further down the road.
Great.
Thank you, Joe. So I have a thought. So I like the idea. It's really interesting. My only concern is that not all of our good causes have equal reach and equal out necessarily in the town. So it might be
Different number of followers.
indeed. So it might be quite difficult for some of them to reach some of the loftier goals. Would it be possible that we could have smaller points that could be reached by smaller organisations, and that way you've got, say, 10, 15 organisations all making some noise rather than 2 or 3 bigger ones, because they're all thinking, well, we've got a good chance. That makes sense. And my second point, which I noted down, in terms of no, already said my second point. I don't know why I've done that twice. Ignore me.
And then thanks for the report. I was wondering, have I missed a report? How long has this been running? Have we done a year yet?
It will be a year in May.
It'll be a year in May. So are we getting a report on how successful and how kind of how the finances have gone? I was dubious at the beginning. I'm still not incredibly positive regarding this charity, but this lottery, but it would be good to find out how much what's the uptake, what's the cost, and what's gone back out to the charities and to us. I mean, I remember the beginning there was an argument that some of the money would be coming back to the council to go towards things that we want the council to do, not just come to us to
1,000.
redistribute out to the charities that have signed up. Not that I'm against giving money to charities, but that was the big sell for us, was that it would go towards funding council activities. So it would be good to hear
So
how well it's going in the year.
A quick calculation is if they're getting 50p in it from ticket sales and we've got 1,000 odd, then over £5,000 has gone back to good causes that are playing the lottery. That's the quick sort of calculation for roughly how much has gone back to the actual people who have signed up for this. So they've either got 5,000 more than they had before.
So Yeah, Chairman.
Oh, dear.
Just to follow up on that thinking, so at the beginning of this, I was one of the, person that supposedly overall actually did not believe in, lottery, I kind of, I understand the good cause element, and that's the only reason I've kind of, let it be. But the whole idea behind people use, I see it as gambling, whichever way you want to look at it. Okay, but yes, it's good cause, so let's leave it as good cause for now. But I understand the initial idea was the council was going to put some funding to get this going, and then hopefully this funding will come back to the council as that money being paid back to the council from the £1,000. And secondly, why are we? Is it not working? That's why we need to promote it more. Is your normal promotion in terms of your Facebook and just trying to encourage people to just continue to play, not working? Is why we've got to incentivize it with the funding. Why do we need to incentivize it with more money if it's working? That's the question.
It's more to do with like the campaign around the first birthday. So there's other community lotteries have kind of done similar things, and we've just taken advice from obviously Gatherwell, who has had positive results from other community lotteries across the pandemic that have kind of used similar kind of initiatives to be part of their kind of first birthday campaign.
So has this been prompted by Gatherwell, or has this been prompted by us?
Both, I think. So yeah, it's not that we've sat down and thought this isn't working, we need to do something. So the numbers that we've met are kind of roughly what Gatherwell thought we'd do. So we're kind of roughly within target, but with these things, there's a risk it would drop off. But if we can encourage more, if we're doing investing in it, then let's keep trying to do things that encourage and support it. But we're not trying to solve a problem by doing this. We're more saying it's a normal thing to reach first birthday and have a fresh push.
Yeah, absolutely.
John?
It sounds to me like, similar to what the National Lottery is doing, or has done over the years. We started the National Lottery and used to have one draw a week, and then it's 2 draws a week. And then we got the Euro Lottery, and then you've got another lottery on the Monday and the Thursday, and then you've got cards as well. It's just, you're trying to build something to get people to pay into something to which will help more people eventually. So I can't see an issue with what we're trying to do here, because you're basically trying to promote something which had a big promotion when it started, as probably now you're trying to get more promotion to get more people doing that, and I presume we'll try to do a bit more as we go along.
Okay, Richard.
Yeah, likewise, I think that I think anything that you do these days as a business or whatever, that becomes time when promotional things need to be put forward to gain any more business or whatever it is you try and do. So I get that element completely. I'm just thinking, is there a better way of doing this in looking at the permutations of the likelihoods of winning and things like that, whether it'd be like you could give one free ticket to somebody that purchases 5, or so you spend £5 worth and you get one free, because then the permutations of actually winning that, or the ratios of the maths working out, you could end up giving away a lot less and gaining a lot more. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you did it, say you bought 5 and you got one free,
Are you allowed to do that?
And then-
by law?
I'm not sure.
well, if we're giving away a free ticket, we're doing the same thing. We're just buying it for them. We're putting in the money to be able to buy it for them, aren't we?
So I think the short answer is we don't know exactly what's possible, because we can only do things that work through Gatherwell's system.
Right.
So what we're suggesting is stuff which we know Gatherwell can deliver on. So we'd have to investigate that. Get back to, obviously it's a bit of a timescale thing with the birthday.
Because obviously, if we're given the option anyway that we can give them a free
What's to do like
draw,
dip in this?
then we could obviously just give them a free draw anyway. If that's we're just opening up to more.
What you're saying sounds
sense that he's saying rather than limit just to certain people to say that you can meet these thresholds, why not just play it across the board, I think you're likely to get much more income that way. Because everyone playing it then is going to is incentivized to say, well, I'll buy £5 worth to get an extra one free. Do you know what I mean? So it just seems to be a much more logical promotion in that aspect.
I agree. We can take advice from that.
Absolutely, it can't be done. It can't be done, but it's just seems a logical way.
I mean, members might want to agree the proposal in principle, but pending us having consultation with Gatherwell and then talking to Nick before we actually do it, that's okay. And that gives a bit of freedom. I mean, the other thing I should note from the conversation was the suggestion that you're risking, if you say at least 125 tickets for the ongoing ones, you're risking excluding some of those that haven't got many members but are doing a good thing.
Well, it's
Whereas
all
the really big ones, and then you're potentially going to get more, they might need it less than some of the really small ones.
This is where I'd suggest that we just had like just 3 prizes going down in value, and it was just drawn out of a hat at the mayor making or another event, which would encourage people to join the scheme, not necessarily have to fight like smaller groups struggling to get sales increases, because they do have different obviously levels of support from their associated people. But it still encouraged people to actually join up, or other good causes to join up, with the chance of winning some decent chunk of money.
Can I just come back on that point?
I've got a lot.
One other point
Rachel do.
to raise is that we're also exploring a bolt-on prize draw. So for the 30th of Saturday, 30th of May, we're trying to approach businesses for a birthday prize draw, so like a raffle. And if members have any business contacts who might want to sponsor a business a birthday prize draw as part of that as well.
Sorry, I was just going to come back on the point that Paul just raised. It may be that considering the suggestion that I just made, obviously with the free ticket of how many is bought, whatever you decide that to be, that could even be potentially run alongside what Nick or what's already been previously suggested, because that's likely to make more money than it is actually than what is going out. Because obviously, given on the ratio of win ratio, if you're buying 5 tickets to get 1, you're probably likelihood of that extra 1 winning is very low anyway. So therefore, you're actually running a promotion without it costing you anything. So it could be run alongside 40p. It could be run alongside, parallel to both of them together. Yeah, yeah.
Michelle.
No, I've just wanted to first of all acknowledge actually you putting the proposal together. There's been loads of questions marks about it, but I think it's such a really good idea that you've been coming up with to extend the scheme and promote it. I don't know about the timing of when, because you're looking for an in principle agreement, Paul, which I think, reading the room, I think in principle we are in agreement. I think where we've got a sticking point and we probably haven't got enough hours in the evening to work out how to deliver on those principles. But actually, if somebody could put those ideas together and work out how to maximise both the opportunities in terms of the income to the charities, but also extend the opportunity for the charities to benefit from it, that would be, I think, an ideal outcome from this evening. So,
what wording to suggest?
Oh, I was only going to make a comment on working in the charity sector for quite a long time. There's always a disparity between what size charity can apply for what type of pot. So we're not realistically going to be able to support every size charity with this kind of thing. But it's, if we're saying there's a pot of £400 to be potentially won, there's the smaller charities are not to be able to win that, and that's the same for any grants that are out there. Same councils. That's just how
Lucky Dip would then be better for them than
that's how that thing works. So just it's not unusual. I don't like it, but that's how things work.
Yeah.
Nice proposal wording.
Wording.
I'll make it shorter, but it's not. So to agree to allocate £450 for promotional prizes to be allocated either as recommended or through an amended version which would enable smaller organisations to benefit if an alternative approach is agreed with Gatherwell in consultation with the chair, for example through a Lucky Dip.
Yeah, what's the
Lucky Dip.
Is that the ticket?
I think
should I keep it simple and leave that bit out? Just
use the tip out.
I think you could put an example in there, perhaps as a
Lucky dip.
brackets about incentive about X amount of tickets being sold would give a lucky dip or.
Yeah, we have to decide on the number.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that can be worked out with the ratios. Massacre Gatherwell will know
Yeah.
what chances you've got of winning for each one, so they'll be able to work out the ratios and be able to
Yeah.
see.
the
Like,
average-
two get one
yeah,
3
the
by
average-
4, get one 3 by 5, get one.
It'd be the average spend as well, really. Like if people are putting in the fiver anyway, then you get an extra ticket. So we still got the option of either sales of tickets or possibly just a simple draw for 3 prizes.
Or particularly
Which is open to everyone then.
if it's
Hopefully simpler to do. You haven't got track the ticket sales then. It's just everyone who's registered gets one chance of winning one of the prizes.
Maybe happy with my wording.
Happy with the
Yeah.
wording? So,
Right. Yeah.
well, basically you got
Mhm.
to go ahead to carry on and get the best idea. So we're okay with that?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not all right. Okay. Next up is the corporate and financial risk management. Yes,
Thank you, Chair. So,
who's going for that one?
yeah, thank you both.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
So it's not, it was a recent meeting, you agreed the most recent corporate and financial risk assessment, but we brought that back again. I'll put that through in a second. But also this is to agree a slightly revised corporate and financial risk management policy. So the first thing to say is that I've attached a revised policy. It's only very slightly changed. So the only addition to it is the only change to it is the addition of section 5, which just clarifies that we'll meet appropriate legislation. And it clarifies that the policy is really in 2 parts. So it's got the first part, which is the policy, and the second part that's the strategy that breaks down how we do the numbers around risk assessment. And that's one of the things that the policy is something we need to check every year for the internal auditor, as all previously discussed. The second part is the corporate risk assessment. So I've made one significant addition since last time, which is the addition of the risk about financial loss due to over resilience on external funding. So we've had the discussion about CBC a couple of times, and we've got the risk around older people and the youth funding. And in the world we live in, who knows what other funding we might lose. So that risk is there and recognised, which it wasn't before. So it's asking you to agree that. Since I published this, the chair has helpfully noted 2 or 3 items which are also slightly out of date and need to be updated as well.
Are you going to mention?
Yeah, I was going to say facilities.
Yeah.
Cemeteries, financial, they're all massively out of date.
So I have revised, I think everything is revising this afternoon. And apologies for that, members, we thought we'd cover everything. So rather than go through that in detail now, are you happy for me to circulate after this the revised version?
Yeah.
To agree pending agreed revisions. So I'll send it round this evening.
But basically, well, yes.
If you want to have a look in the next couple of days and come back with anything you're not happy about or anything you spot, that'd be really helpful. In terms of substance and changes, so some of it is just dates. In terms of substance, there was a risk around pension. So it still says here about the 2022 triennial review. We only had the formal result of the most recent triennial review in February. The triennial review this time came out saying that the pension was previously underfunded. Our pension fund is now just over 100%. So that's really good news. And this is common across LGPS schemes across the country. This isn't just a Bedfordshire thing, but we are in a good scheme. Our pension is pooled with all the other town and parish councils in Bedfordshire. So whatever happens to them happens to us. It's not just about us. The pension contributions we make, so staff pay a pension contribution, which the percentage varies depending on where you are within the salary range. But for the council's contribution, the council pays the same contribution to all staff by percentage, and that's gone down by 3% because the pension is in a better place than it was. So that's good news. That's a saving for us, and we reported on that during the precept setting process. They've actually, it's gone through consultation and they've now dropped it a bit more. So they've dropped it by another 20,000, but that's off. There's two parts to the calculation they make. There's the overall percentage, which is based on what they think we need to contribute for current staff, but there's also an amount we have to contribute for staff who have left, and that's contribution has gone down by another 20. So other LGPS, now our LGPS scheme has a policy that says they can only drop it by 3% each 3 years. They can't drop it by any more than 3%. So they've only dropped it by 3%. Some other pension schemes around the country have dropped it by 7 or 8%. So I suppose you can take the view that we're in a more risk averse area. And if you're dealing with pensions, it probably is best to be risk averse, I guess. But I'm no actuary, so you know, we're paying people to provide us some good advice. So that's where we are with the pensions. As you know, with the cemetery, we've moved on with the development of the new cemetery and appointed a contractor now, so that scheme's moved on. I can't remember what else I've edited now. So Grove House and Priory House, obviously the Priory House works. The risk of us identifying additional significant issues at Priory House during the works goes down the closer we get to the end of the scheme. So that risk is a lot lower than it was. There's still a 200,000 contingency in place for that scheme, which gets monitored every month. That contingency has not gone down at all in recent months. So we're much more confident that nothing else of substance is going to go wrong between now and October, when we hope to have the building back. And you know, frankly, by the time we get the building back, it's going to be in much better conditions than most buildings we manage, and we'll have a detailed maintenance plan. The next challenge will be at some point, probably in the summer, we'll have a 10-year maintenance plan that we're obliged to fulfil, and that will come with a bill attached to it. We don't yet know if we're putting the right amount away for that. But this building, there is a risk for this building, and we're still at the early stages. Corinne earlier said we've got some drawings in, but they're being amended because they weren't quite right for the initial works to do. But we don't know what the scale of that work will be still, or how long it will take. So that's early stages. So you might be able to drop the risk of Priory House from red to amber. The risk of one of our buildings probably needs to stick there as being on red at the moment, but we are doing the right things to manage our buildings. In terms of any other significant risks, Ched, do you want to raise any of the things that you identified?
That's right. Step out for a second.
No, I think it's just the just those dates where I would try it. I mess the 3 yearly one for the pensions, and then the other thing was so I'm not saying about the finance being reviewed.
Yeah, there's
Just the two. Did you have any?
one in facilities, unplanned expense or loss of service due to damage, structural failure of council buildings. It says an overall asset management plan will be developed in 24-25.
Yeah, that will be done in 26-27. That is in the service plan for the year.
And in cemeteries, failure to provide sufficient burial space to meet the town's needs. It talks about the boreholes being drilled and that these will require monitoring until December 2024.
Yeah, so that will be updated because we've now got permission to use it as a cemetery, and by the end of this evening we'll have a contractor. So
yeah, I'd like to know whether the timelines have changed at all. Like it states December 29. At that point, it stated December 29 for running out of burial space within the town, like current burial space. So I'd like to know like timelines as to when we're running out, and because it's going to take us a while to build that cemetery. I don't
we can cover that in the confidential section at the end where we talk about the cemetery. That'd be okay.
We can. That's fine. Just think the risk as we're like on the point of the risk dashboard. I think stuff should be in there.
The risk register will be updated. Say we've now appointed a contractor. So it's underway. And we've now got a Gantt chart that says at this point you'll be able to start burying bodies.
That's good. Just so we've got some transparency for the public around that. Thanks.
Rick?
Thank you, Chair. The only other point I would add is that the likelihood and risk of energy price rises might need to be notched up slightly. It's currently pricing is quite low.
What's that, sorry? Why is that?
Well, how fixed is our energy contract?
It is, I think it's fixed for another year.
It's fixed until autumn this year, I think.
Yeah, we did have a conversation in the office about diesel prices. And as you know, we made a savings on our diesel budget, but we were very conservative about the saving we gave. So there is a fair bit of flexibility in our diesel budget in terms of diesel going up. That's not an immediate concern, but obviously.
So do you think there's a risk or not?
There's not an immediate risk, but there is a risk at some point in the next 12 months of energy prices. So when we re-tender for energy, obviously that might be high.
So it's not immediate.
It's not immediate, no.
But we're not currently seeing anything we're anticipating in the next few months.
Okay.
Buying diesel below forecourt prices anyway.
Yeah.
Got storage.
Cheers.
Richard?
Just one question I've got here, just to make sure that we have got this right in terms of risk. I notice we've got here, it's currently estimated that there is sufficient burial space to last until the end of 2029, it's just been mentioned. However, I distinctly remember a couple of years ago, we having this conversation, and it was John Crawley at the time was actually mentioning we only had a couple of years left, which would only lead us into around about now. So has that just, I know we've found some more spaces in the cemetery that we can open up to, but I wouldn't have thought that's a greater amount to push it forward to another 2 years beyond that was expected.
29 figure was a carefully calculated one that I know I worked on with John, so I'm confident in the 29 figure.
Okay, because it was, I remember a couple of years ago when we had this first discussion, it was said then that we had enough burial space for another 2 years. So that would be around about now or thereabouts. So I'm just concerned that this 2029 figures obviously a lot more of an extension than what the original.
We've definitely got enough in there. As of now, you've got enough in there till 29.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on figures big.
Exactly. Obviously nobody knows.
Yeah.
I would also argue that 29 figure was from 2 years ago because it was in the report.
Yeah. If anything, the last 2 years, the rate of burial has dropped slightly.
Take it with pre-sold plots, that's all been taken into account as well.
Yeah, that's all count.
Yeah. Okay, so do we need the just 1.1 approved now? Or do you want 1.2 on the basis that you're gonna send that revised?
So it'd be really helpful if members could, well, you know, it's full council, isn't it, in 2 weeks? So how about I make any revisions and then do a reference up from this committee and then full council can sign off the full thing.
Okay, but the management policy we can do, yeah?
But you can agree the management policy now.
Do we all agree to adopt the corporate and financial risk management policy provided?
No.
Okay, that's carried. And 1.2 is sent up to full council. On the list is further report from personnel subcommittee. Members to approve recommendations made by the personnel subcommittee held on the 5th of March 2026. Members considered several proposed policy updates to recommend to the Finance and General Purposes Committee that Council adopts the amended grievance disciplinary policies. To recommend to the Finance and General Purposes Committee that members of the Personnel Committee be asked to attend HR training within 3 months of taking up the role. To recommend to the Finance and General Purposes Committee that the Council Staff Awards scheme be extended to volunteers. Is there anything else to add to that, or should we go to the vote?
Obviously, it's been fully discussed by personnel already. Just to note on the two policies, the changes aren't to do with the substance of the policies so much in to reference that things would go to the chair of personnel rather than the chair of FGP. Now, in the personnel committee, and the decision made in liaison with the mayor and deputy as well as appropriate. So it's not changing the nature of those policies, it's just how we manage that internally based on our current structure. And to note the two things about the personnel committee are those cannot be binding. So there's no power to make a councillor attend training on anything in our level of council, but it would be helpful to have a policy that encourages members of the personnel committee to attend HR training within 3 months of taking up the role.
So it would be offered then, basically.
Yeah,
Offered to attend training.
and you might want to say when you're deciding who members of the personnel committee will be, as members, you might want to say, does everybody who wants to be on this committee agree to undertake to
Commit to it.
So you can do that. And because we've signed up the Civility and Respect Pledge, in signing up to that, the members did undertake any training required for particular roles. So you've made that commitment anyway. And in terms of the staff awards, just to note that the voluntary awards, to note that the staff awards scheme works really well. Doesn't, in the grand scheme, we can accommodate the additional cost for volunteers awards within the budget that we have anyway. But that mechanism works well of a £25 equivalent gift that is or arranged by the person making the award. Just makes it a bit more personal.
Okay, so I'll take these to the vote unless there's any other questions. Okay, so all of those in favour to recommend to the Finance and General Purposes Committee that Council adopts the amended grievance and disciplinary policies. Those in favour? Carried. I don't know what happened to 1.2, but we'll skip that. 1.3 to recommend to the Finance.
That was a reference from personnel to full council, not to FGP.
To recommend to the Finance and General Purposes Committee that members of the Personnel Committee be asked to attend HR training within 3 months of taking up the role. All those in favour? Yeah, carried. And to recommend to the Finance and General Purposes Committee that Council Staff Awards scheme be extended to volunteers. Those in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all carried.
What happens if people don't, sorry. What I was talking about.
Is it on current?
It can wait,
Cool.
it's fine.
So we're just about
You
to.
just finished the item. Ask a question at the end. So everyone gets.
Keep burying it. I think that's the last item.
Yeah, report from outside organisation.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Get back up there. See you on it. Right. Yeah, it's a bit slow tonight, you see. Right, next item then is reports from outside organisations. So Citizen Advice Management Committee from Councillor Atwell.
Yeah, I haven't got any further update at this stage from them since the update I gave last time, because obviously it was their board meeting.
Yeah.
So we haven't had anything at other meetings since, but as far as I'm aware, just keeping my finger on the pulse, so to speak. It's business as normal.
Okay.
Very hard in this particular cost of living crisis, and it's you know, their hours are very stressed out, so to speak, dealing with everything and things as they go as best they can with the volunteers they've got.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Councillor Atwell? No. Okay. Dunstable International Town Twinning Association. I'll take it. It's going to be yourself.
I sent a report to 2 committees. They came up on community services as well. But anyway, I can say that there is a visit to Ports in June. There are 4 people going.
Okay.
Yes, there's 2 ex-mayors, an ex-deputy mayor and the chairman of Twinning Committee. Just for 4 days, from a Thursday to a Sunday. They've got some, the Twinning Committee has I've forgotten which year it is, 50, 60 year sort of celebration. So we're very pleased to go to that. And we actually booked the flights this afternoon.
Oh, good. Thank you for that. Any questions? No. Hospice Own Management Committee, that's from Wendy Baker. She said the reports at all. Okay, I'll leave that one for now. Ashton Arms House Charity Council Alderman.
Yeah, so everything is progressing well. The Ashton Arms House charity. We've got an inspection on the Arms House that's coming up soon. We also have a new member, trustee, a bit of a maverick, Councillor Hollick. But yeah, things are generally good.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ashton House Schools Foundation. Who's going with that one? Councillor Hollick or?
Trying to think what happened last time. We're at the end of using the money for both Manshead and Ashton St Peters, which was the result of the sale of Ashton Middle School. As I have reported many times, because it's been a number of 2 or 3 years, I think both schools have been improving their grounds or their facilities, the buildings, etc. Because it was a fair bit of money that we've given to each of them. As I say, coming to the end of that, and I think it's going to be a plaque or something. Well, I think one has gone up already in recognition of the fact that the monies for those improvements came from the foundation.
That's good news. All right, Choose Foundation, Councillor Brennan.
There's not been a meeting since the last update, Chair.
Thank you very much. Pause Land Charity, Councillor Tamara, in the absence of Councillor.
So I think the next meeting, I can't remember when the next meeting was.
Did you attend a meeting?
Yeah, I didn't.
Perhaps I can help on that one. We've had a recent meeting, and we agreed the sum that we'd give out to certain people, members of who live in a certain area within the centre of Dunstable.
Yes.
I know that since then, I think this room is being used by the mayor, and we usually use this room. I don't know if no.
No, we changed the day.
You changed the date. Okay, thank you. So we're using this room because the mayor's changed the date, and it'll be literally handing out the money to those that turn up or turn up on somebody else's behalf.
Yes, I apologize. I wasn't on meeting. I'm messing them up.
Okay, then we got Lockington Charity and Marsh Charity. Councillor Tamara again.
Yeah,
Busy.
I was not
This is
able
one.
to attend that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's down to me then. With the district scouts, apart from changing dates for meeting to Thursdays rather than a Wednesday, and a different hut which I've had to find. They're planning for the St George's Day parade at the moment, so there'll be the usual march through the town centre that will move off, going past the mayor, I believe, on the stand. Stand? No, it's not. No, it's not the mayor. That one, is it? No, it's just the scouts, isn't it? That's the other one.
It is announced deputy mayor, 'cause I'm attending that on, but on her behalf.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, so that should be all going well, subject to it not raining, for adverse weather conditions. So they're doing all right. Friends of Priory House and Gardens, that's me, but I haven't got contact details yet, and I've got to ask for them. So I need, if you want to make a note, who to speak to.
Yeah.
To go along to Friends of Priory.
Yeah, I've just got maybe a little bit of a note. If anybody's available to attend, they do have a coffee morning on Saturday, the 18th of April, at a Priory House, Priory Church rather. Apologies. Okay, so if anybody wants to attend that.
Which one is that for? Sorry, this is the.
Is the Friends of Priory.
Yeah.
Priory.
House and
House and
Gardens.
Gardens. So you've had a message from them, have you?
Yes. But that's the next. So
They've also got a stall at various,
but that's the next
Yeah.
one.
Perhaps that can be put out to all councillors and then they can.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, if you
through.
send me details and
Okay.
or send it to Paul, Paul can send it out.
Okay,
As
I'll do that.
Mentions everyone. Then I need the contact details of,
I'm doing a 42.
okay, big great.
Is that's going to be shared, that 18th?
Yes.
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
perfect,
so
right.
if you send that to Paul, Paul can
Yeah,
send it out,
I'll do that now.
or you can send it out to all councillors if you want.
No, I just send it to Paul.
So that is under the reports. Next. So we're going to move to exclusion of public and press recommended in terms of Schedule 12A Local Government Act 1972. Following items will be likely to disclose exempt information relating to the establishment of contractual matters. It's therefore recommended that pursuant to the provisions of the Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act 1960, the public and press will be excluded. All in favour? Yeah. Thank you. And Jackie, if we can stop the recording and confirm we're no longer live.